हेलो एवरीबॉडी, आई एम सुमित रॉय हियर। आज हम लोग इस वीडियो में द चर्निंग ऑफ द ओशन, दैट इज़ द मिल्क ओशन, वी आर गोइंग टू एक्सप्लोर। एंड दिस इज़ देयर इन द लेजेंडरी स्क्रिप्चर्स, इन द रामायण, इन द महाभारत, इन द भगवद गीता। तो आज इसका जो द मेन मेटाफर, द रूपक जो है, उसको हम लोग गहराई में देखेंगे। समुद्र मंथन एक ऐसा एक लेजेंडरी कथा है, इज़ बीइंग यूज्ड इन सो मेनी प्लेसेस। सो इसका सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, इसका फिलोसॉफिकल डायमेंशन क्या है, ये सारी चीज़ आज इस छोटे वीडियो में हम लोग आज एक्सप्लोर करेंगे। नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड थ्रू द Puranic stories. Each and every story has certain kind of a deep meaning. It has symbolic interpretation, it has philosophical interpretation, and of course it has a lot of modern day relevance. And Samudra Manthan is one of the topic which is being discussed in so many forums. So let's understand each and every entity and its relevance and its symbolic interpretation as I understand, because nirantar adhyan chintan and अभ्यास करने के बाद ये सारे मीनिंग you are able to relate in your existing and in your day-to-day world. So when you talk about Kshira Sagara, that is the ocean, and it is a ocean of milk, and the milk or the ocean is representing our mind or our consciousness. And of course there is a conflict that we need to really get something from the ocean, and ocean do have a lot of resources between the Asuras and the Devas in the legendary times, so they need to really get it out. So there is a story behind it in Indra. But today in this video we are focusing on basically on the significance. So the ocean talks about the consciousness, that is the mind in a perspective. Then of course we have the Mount Mandara, which is talking about the vertical axis of the self, which has to be steady, and sometimes of course it is not steady. Then we have the rope, which is talking about the senses, and it was the snake or the serpent Vasuki was used, and the Lord Vishnu came in the form of took the form of a kurma, which is the very base, which is the very foundation, which is the divine foundation on which the cosmos is actually standing. And there is an element of cooperation with the Asuras and the Devas to churn the ocean and get the important ingredient that has to really come. And this cooperation talks about team and the team building and the team cooperation we are talking about. Churning talks about, we are talking about cognitive dissonance in the psychological perspective. And out of the churning, many things came out. And when the churning happened, we have seen the first thing that comes out is the poison. And that was being taken by Shiv, which is the meaning is auspiciousness and the very core of the very world that actually exists. And he took that, and that became the Nilkant. And total 14 Ratnas or the gems came out, and some of them are the Panchajanya, which is the Shankh of the Vishnu, then Airavat, then Kamdhenu, Dhanvantari, and the money. So all these elements has so much of a significance, and the ultimately there's an element of something which is the main that the gods were interested, and the even Asuras got tempted for, and that was the nectar. So here, if you see from the metaphoric angle, actually what we are trying to get is the churning of the ocean talks about the churning of the mind, and for that we need to use our senses very sensibly, otherwise we can have a poison. And when you are churning the ocean, you need certain kind of a cooperative element, and that cooperative element is coming from both. So the Asuras and the Devas, the Asuras are the negativities, the bad, and the of course Devas talks about the positivity, the good. And of course we have both the negatives and the positives, and the and both the bad and good inside. The question is, of course, the bad is also something to be cooperated. The only thing is that we need to reduce and make it zero and get into the Devic form. Now, getting into a bit of the neurophilosophy of it, or a neurocognitive understanding, we can say that the Asuras are the limbic system, where we are more, the limbic system of the brain basically talks about fight or flight or food, whereas the Devas are talking about the prefrontal cortex, where we are able to really think, we're able to have a lot of a cognitive development. The churning talks about the cognitive dissonance. The poison talks about the cognitive noise. In today's world, we have a lot of digital toxicity, which is the poison, and the philosophy can eat the poison. And once we eat the poison, that of course the digital is something that we cannot avoid. The question is how we are able to use the digitization and actually make that as something which is useful. So we should not get succumbed by the digitization. Rather, digitization is actually a tool by which you can enhance our life. And the very Mandara, the mountain, is talking about our proprioceptive self, which is the vertical axis. That is the vertical self that actually we are trying to grow, and it is a forward looking. And then if we talk about the kurma, that is something which is the base of the brain, that can be the thalamus, and that's the brainstem. And if that is strong, and that foundation is talking about the very divinity, because Vishnu is somebody who is pervading and who is everywhere, and how much you are able to really integrate Vishnu. And ultimately at the end of the churning, well, actually what you are trying to get is a lot of gems. 14 gems came, and of course you can identify your gems, what has to really come. So it can be a carrier, it can be a happiness, it can be a peace. So ultimately we are in a life of churning, where we have both the Asuras and the Devas. And of course it is a legendary story, because it is something that we get to see in lots of our scriptures. And the question is, when you read the scriptures, it has a lot of psychological significance, it has a lot of philosophical significance, and it has also a contemporary significance. So keep churning, keep getting the nectar, stay awakened. Thank you.